One of the most misunderstood submissions in Jiu-Jitsu is actually the Omoplata. Now with the Omoplata, a lot of people are going to view this as like not really a real submission at a higher level because no one's going to be able to finish it. They really use it more in the context to sweep somebody or to create some type of threat. So in this video, we're going to show you guys how to do an actual Omoplata so you can have a real submission threat to finish your matches. All right, so with the Omoplata, how we actually finish this, you got to think about the Omoplata as like almost like a Kimura, but it's with your legs. So what we're doing here is I'm trying to attack this arm, so we're going to be attacking here. Now, this does attack the shoulder, but a lot of times this can attack the actual bone that connects from the elbow, obviously up to the shoulder. I don't know what that bone is called, but this can cause a lot of crazy damage, sometimes to the elbow, sometimes to the shoulder, but more often than not, at least from what we've seen from this guy putting people in omoplatas at tournaments, them refusing to tap and having some pretty bad catastrophic damage done to them, we see a lot of these breaks happen here where the bone does a lot of this motion. Now, when we're actually looking at submissions, just like a choke, our goal is to put our partner to sleep or our opponent to sleep, right? That's all we're focused on doing. In training, when they tap, we stop. At the tournament, when the referee says stop, that's when we stop. Now, when it comes to joint locks, our goal is to do as much catastrophic damage as possible. Obviously, we want to protect our training partner, so we stop when they say tap. And at the tournament, we stop when that referee says, when they says stop, right? Because that referee is protecting your opponent, and that opponent is hopefully going to be protecting themselves. So when we're approaching the Omoplata, we're thinking about controlling it like it's a guard in a position, but then we're looking to move and do things in a very specific way so we do as much catastrophic damage as possible. So one of the ways that I really like to have our athletes, and I find the Omoplata I feel like the most, is from the collar sleeve. So as we're here, guys, and we start to shoot for the Omoplata, there's a handful of ways we can do this, but the biggest idea is I'm trying to get my groin into the armpit. So whether I lift my hips up and I go up here like this, or if I end up shooting my leg through all the way up here. Now here you can see the back of my knee is actually connected to his armpit. This is not bad or wrong, but I really prefer if I have the opportunity to get my groin more into my partner's armpit here. Now, most times when you see the Omoplata, people just automatically figure for their legs. Now, the goal here, obviously, from a fundamental perspective, and that's really basic, is you want to get Ethan's head towards the mat. So what people do is they hope to kick him down here, they try to bring him down, but he's not going to go anywhere, right? So one thing that I really like to have our athletes focus on is, number one, I want to keep this wrist trapped. So if I just let go of this wrist and he pulls his arm out, there's no Omoplata. And sometimes you're going to get your guard pass right off it. There are potential for other submissions, but our goal, especially what I really push our athletes and what I really want to show you guys, is not so much focusing on winning, but displaying the highest level of jiu-jitsu possible. So if we get our partner with the intent of doing the Omoplata, we want to finish with the Omoplata. So as I have this here, versus doing like more of a figure four, we can actually take our ankles and cross them over like this, because then it's going to be both of my legs taking them forward, as opposed to really just one at a weird angle here. So you'll see some guys actually take their hand, they'll control between their knees and they'll control the collar here. This isn't bad, this is pretty good. Or you can control behind the collar here. This I don't feel like does as much as what it would if you control between your knees, controlling the collar here like this. Ethan does an extremely good job of this, but other guys that kind of play this style is also like Mason Fowler, extremely good Omoplata. So once we catch this guy here, I'm going to crunch forward because I want to make sure I keep this wrist trapped. My left hand is going to exchange with my right hand, and look how I bring my elbow to the inside here. This ensures that I'm going to have his actual wrist trapped. Now, if I want to bring him forward, look how I stack my ankles. I keep anchoring my left elbow in, and I'm going to kick forward. As I kick forward, I'm not necessarily looking to sit up straight like this, but you could also, especially if they're really strong, as I kick forward, I bring my chest out and away from him. Now, when I do this, my left elbow is still anchoring here, and I still have a lot of really good control. I'm going to try to move Ethan without hurting him. Oh, back a little bit. I still have a lot of really good control in this position here. Now, there's a handful of ways we can finish, but I'm going to be real with you guys. Ethan, one of our top competitors, I don't want to risk doing anything to his shoulder. Like, Ethan, do you think there's somebody else we could probably do this to?
Like the guy that looks like Ed?
Oh, Ed Sheeran, the redhead?
That guy? Maybe.
Perfect. Now that we've got Doy here, what I'm looking to do, obviously like we talked earlier, I really want to keep this wrist trapped. If I have this collar and I anchor my elbow in, we have such crazy control in this position. Now remember, part of my goal is to actually attack this like a Kimura, but I'm gonna be using my hips and my legs to finish this here. And my goal is to cause as much catastrophic damage as possible. So when I'm here, I have him forward. I'm gonna lean forward like this, bringing my chest towards his back. So a lot of this here is when I have this, I bring my chest towards his back, and what I'm gonna look to do, I can S-grip, gable grip, you can grab your own wrist, but I'm gonna look to get here. As I get this, I keep my chest towards his back, and I'm gonna try to bring my knee to the mat, but more realistically, if I can keep him in this position, I'm bringing both knees to the mat. This is gonna do a lot of damage. It put a lot of pressure on your partner's shoulder. So when you do this in training, I would encourage you to do it slow. Realistically though, even in tournaments, I would encourage you to do it slow so that your opponent has less opportunity to move with you and escape. So as I have this here, my knees go together. I'm gonna start bringing my knees towards the mat. They should never get to the mat. If they get to the mat, this shoulder is not gonna be the same. One of the other bonus positions that I really like about the Omoplata that I wanna show you guys, and truthfully, it's probably one of my favorite finishes here. If I'm having, let's say, a little bit of trouble bringing him down, I'm having trouble bringing my chest to his back, if they're standing up to this far foot, even if I could like realistically bring myself here and look to sit up and finish, it's gonna be tougher for me to bring my knees to the mat if he has his far foot up. So one of my favorite finishes from this position is that as I'm going for the Omoplata, I bring myself up here, but I notice he has his far foot up. He could also be posturing his head up, trying to really prevent this because he doesn't want me to bring both my knees to the mat. What I'm gonna do is basically go what we call fishing here. I'm gonna use my bottom leg, and as I do this, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna plantar flex my foot, shoot through, and then I'm gonna try to dorsiflex behind his ankle. Now once I do this, I'm really gonna do my best to keep this foot hooked. Then I'm gonna bring my other foot to hook and connect here as well. Now obviously, I wanna make sure I keep his wrist, so I'm always gonna be crunching forward here. From this position, that pressure, a lot of times can be enough to tap. Now because we have somebody as tough as Doi in this position here, we're gonna do our best to apply this pressure to show you the next step without crippling him. So as I hook this far leg here, I crunch forward. If they're still not tapping, while I keep my knees really tight together, crunching forward, I can take this hand back. I'm gonna control his wrist, and then we're gonna push it up this way. Think of the mechanics in this position, how this is basically a Kimura, but it's with our legs. This is why the Omoplata is so misunderstood, because everybody, go to both your knees, everybody thinks about the submission is getting here, and they just gotta rotate their hips up, and they're like, oh, why are they not tapping? Why are they not tapping? But in reality, they're not tapping because number one, you're doing it incorrectly. The goal here is to not go for the tap. It's to cripple Doi. I mean, it's to do catastrophic damage to our opponent. So if we're in this position here, I keep my chest tight to his back, which if you'll notice, if this is done for you, it's gonna be harder for you to roll through. So I keep my hands tight, bring myself through, and I'm looking to bring both of my knees to the mat. That's not gonna happen unless you just destroy their shoulder. Then we have the bonus detail, guys, to where I shoot the Omoplata, I catch, he's posturing up real high, he's got his foot up, so we can make it more difficult for me to bring his head down. I chop down, but he's not going down as easy. So look how I bring my chest around. I'm sitting forward, trying to keep his wrist trapped. Now, because Doi does such a good job following instructions, he's gonna remember to have his far foot up. And then as I have this here, I take my right foot and I basically go fishing. So without even looking, you should be able to find this ankle here. Now, once I get this hooked, my left foot's gonna come into play and we hook behind the knee area. I pinch with my knee, keeping good tension here. Now, if I lean back too far, this wrist slips out. So I keep my elbow anchored, I bring myself forward. You can either rotate your hips this way, like you're gonna bring both your knees to the mat. You could also reach back, grab the wrist. Truthfully though, I like focusing on more control and keeping it. So as I keep this here and I keep this foot trapped, I'm gonna rotate my hips forward towards the mat, because then as I rotate my hips towards the mat here, this wrist is gonna go higher. So once you understand and you think about the Omoplata as more of a Kimura, but you're doing it with your legs and your body, it's gonna be much easier for you to look at the position and understand what you need to do next to be able to actually do catastrophic damage to your opponent. When you do this in training, be careful. When you do it at a tournament, be slow and controlled so you do as much catastrophic damage as possible. Guys, if you like my coaching style, check out the link down below for our school community to where it's gonna be me being your step coach. I'm not gonna be your real coach, but I will be your step coach helping you. There's gonna be community people there posting their sparring film, getting a lot of good questions answered and all that fun stuff. But at the same time, if you guys wanna take your lapel game to the next level, check out the link down below for my lapel guard instructional. This is a complete systematic approach that's gonna take your jiu-jitsu to the absolute next level. And if you guys wanna see Doi get loop choked a little bit more and you've just been struggling trying to figure out how to make that submission work, check out the video right here to take your loop choke game to the next level.